Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So if there are no questions, I have three areas that I will want to. First, I mean, well done for looking into this aspect and of the practice. And my first question will be, when you look at the literature, the chromosomes, that is chromosomes 13 and 17, that house the BRCA units, did you find out if they differ in both sexes? Are there differences in these two in both sexes? And if they differ, what about their mutations? Do they work the same way or different ways? And I also would have loved to see more on the chromosomes and the mutations. That is when talking about what they do and when they are mutated, why they are important. And so when you look at that, it may be easier to understand why there will be differences in manifestations and why the outcomes may also differ. The second thing, of course, is that are there things that are different in the males and females that may affect their impact? For example, we know that estrogens are more in females, testosterone is more in males. And so do this have any effect on the mutation, either in the rate of occurrence or in their manifestations? Just a few sentences will clear this at the beginning of your literature review so that you'll be able to understand and interpret what you find. Secondly, with the paucity of male breast cancer, it will be difficult for you to do justice to the paper if you are limited by your search. And so what I'm going to do straight away is to contact those who have extensive access for you to be able to quickly look at the papers that may be helpful. The more papers that you have, the better will be the quality of your work. With female breast cancer, you can easily get a lot of papers. But if you are going to compare the two, then you must get a reasonable number of papers from that is related to male breast cancer. And here, definitely, here in Ibadan, I've seen there are papers on male breast cancer. I don't remember. Yes, I think Professor Adebamo, who was in surgery and who's a world figure on breast cancer and cancer generally, did presentations about the occurrence of male breast cancer. So you will need to look at that. And that also dovetails into the time that you have set, 2015 to 2022. I do not know what informed that. Certainly, you will get a lot of female breast cancer cases, but I'm not sure of the male. So, and especially in the environment where you are, the work that has been done must not be missed. And I'm not sure if we have recent figures. So in doing this sort of study, yes, it's good to limit to concentrate on a time frame, I mean, 10-year period of the latest period, that is including the year we are in, or just the year before. But interesting cases that you need to incorporate, that outstanding cases that have occurred before will be incorporated. And the reason I'm saying that is that perhaps you have one or two or three places where they've done a lot of work on male breast cancer. Since it is rare, you may need to find a way of including those to be able to talk authoritatively about the work. Because if there is too much disparity between the two sexes, then there may not be a basis for comparison. You may not be able to do statistical analysis once this occurs. So you, in essence, you may need to get more papers. You may need to look back more. Then you cannot talk about male breast cancer, male and female breast cancer without including a breast surgeon. Yes, the BRCA 1 and 2 that you're talking about affects the practice of obstetrician much less than that of breast surgery. So if you permit me, I will immediately recruit 2 people to your study, and all the 3 of us will ensure that you are able to do this in a way that is more robust than what you have. And so the first person will be Professor Muasim Bello, who is able, because of his work, is able to get far more papers than you have now. And Dr. Ayondepo, who is working, or Professor Temidayo Ogundiran, any of the 2 that you prefer for the breast surgeon. It won't be right at all without them being here. And I think that would be my comments for now. I don't know if you want to respond to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So I think I'll just start from the last comment forwards, then I'll allow for my colleagues to also give comments based on what you have said. So yes, sir, thank you very much again. I think we'll really appreciate your helping us contact some of the breast surgeons. We had earlier tried to connect with Professor Ogundiro, but he was not available. He agreed, but he was not available following our trying to reach him after. But so anybody that you can reach out to for us, we really appreciate it. Then concerning the papers, helping us access more papers, we also I also agree with you, and I think others will also, that it would be great that to make for a more comprehensive discussion and paper, it would be great to have access to as many papers as we can on the topic. And then for extending the timeline to this current year and using a gap of about 10 years, I don't think we'll mind that. We'll also try to extend that using the databases that we already have available at the moment. Then concerning the estrogen, the effects of estrogen on female breast cancer and male breast cancer cases. So from what we saw, and I think part of it is in our main document of the research proposal. we saw that the grades of grades of cancer for male breast cancer cases, they um they increased with age at diagnosis, and then some of them were more commonly positive for estrogen and progesterone receptors. So from what we saw, because we have not gone in depth to read some of the papers, some of what we did was just for the research proposal. And at that point, we didn't have as many papers as we now have for the main write-up. So we didn't really see a lot of differences. We saw that in both cases for male and female breast cancer, estrogen receptors had an effect. Estrogen had an effect on these cases. And um, the grading of some male breast cancer cases, there was decreased grading in relation to the amount of estrogen and progesterone receptors they had. That is one of the differences that we noted, but there was not so much information that we got. Then also concerning the chromosome differences, I didn't also notice that in my literature review search, but I don't know if any of my colleagues would have noticed that. But definitely, when we are writing up the review, we intend to go deeper into the genetics um, of BRCA and BRCA1 and 2 mutations in these cases. I think part of what we were trying to do with the proposal was not to really go very in-depth into the genetics, to make things more understandable at that stage.
Oh, okay. Thank. Yes, and I mean, from what you have just said, now the title of your work is Genetics and Oncology. So again, if you are not going to delve into the into the occurrence, I mean the occurrence and factors affecting the genes, then you may need to remove the genetics and label the study more like differences in manifestations of male and female breast cancer. Okay, because once you put genetics there, you're going to have to say a lot about it. So if you just say differences in manifestations of male breast cancer and female breast cancer, then you can just do a small introductory part to the to the working of the chromosomes, differences in them, and factors affecting them. So that would be my point. If you are bringing out that genetics like that, you need to really talk about the structure of the chromosomes, the effects, the factors affecting them in both sexes.
Yes, sir. I agree with you, sir. I think with more search and then with more access to papers, we'll be able to do that better and like really supplement what we have already done on genetics aspects. And we would not really want to let go of genetics at all because that's like a big part of the work. So work better on that, sir.
Yes, I agree about putting it as a title, because it's said that your title must portray what you are going to do, what the person is going to find inside. And in fact, genetics coming first is huge, because it's meaning that they're going to have a big part of it. So you need to consider that. You can, early in the paper or the report, you can indicate that you're going to talk about the mutations. But if you put it as the first word in your title, then you're going to need to talk a lot about. So you modify that. It's an iterative process. You might start your topic, your work with a topic. You do not necessarily have to stick to it. If as you go along the line, you have permission to change your topic if it's going to be problematic or if it's not going to represent very succinctly what you have done. Okay, so when I contact these people, I will lay this open and then send you to them. And we probably will need to meet like this. They won't mind meeting the group like this for them to understand more. But I can get them to be preparing for that time. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Will there be other issues that we need to discuss?
Not at the moment, sir, but I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything concerning this.
Okay, if and when they agree to have a meeting, they won't want NECA alone to be talking. They will want all the others to also talk to, so that they are assured that it is a joint venture. So yes, whilst you shouldn't talk if you don't have anything to say, at the same time, in this situation, silence is not golden. So please still go through the proposal, and there will still be more things that you might see to help the work. And lastly, just to tell you that research is a very good venture, and to me, it has three. It has a tripod of 3 words starting with H. It's a lot of hard work. Doing research, real hard work. 2, it requires honesty. When you measure things, people are not there. They take your word for it, and that's that trust is held up for until several years. You can, if you have read about the president of Harvard group of institutions, Dr. Gay, they are questioning a paper that she had written, some papers that she had written over 20 years ago. So honesty part is essential. And lastly is that of humility. Humility to note that whatever you do, whatever you find out, it's not final. That whatever good things you have done, that there are people who will come to do better. That's the reason why you are coming at this time, to do better than what we did. So that humility is very, very essential. So, but it is very possible. So thank you. I wish the dental students great success in their exams. And I wish us all a good night. Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, sounded to ask concerning the timeline that we have. If it will be if I don't know what you think about the timeline, because there are some concerns by some consultants that to do a systematic review it requires years of work. So and also giving our main timeline for manuscript presentation, which is in March. I wanted to find out how feasible it would be to conclude the paper before then, and not do a rush work, to do a very comprehensive work on it, and also to also work with the timeline that you have based on your availability, and also the availability of the other consultants that you want to involve in the research.
Yeah, it's yes, there's a need for time, but that's usually if you are for those who are doing individual research. One thing that you have is the fact that you can set out the goals for going through. For example, if when you are doing your literature search, if you have 2,000 papers, you can set out the criteria that each study must be put through. And then if you divide 2,000 papers amongst 8 people, then you are going to reduce the work considerably. If there are only 2 people doing it, it will take longer time. And if it's only 1 person that's doing it, it will take much longer time. So systematic review can be done by 2 people, can be done by 10 people. So all you just need to do is to set out the criteria to what to look for. And so you'll be able to, within a shorter time compared to people that are limited, within a shorter time, discard those studies that will not be useful. So at the end of the day, when you now have, you have to deal with a lower number of studies, it will be easier for you to do. So at every stage, you first of all have a guideline about what to look for, what to do. And then you then divide the work. The same thing when you're going to do analysis. If one person is inputting data into the computer, it's going to take much longer than if you have 8 people inputting. So whatever spreadsheet you are going to use, if 8 of you are inputting, certainly it will take shorter time, because then you can input and then match all of them. So it's really you shorten the time by working with, and that's why I say that if we are meeting the other people, you need to show that that all of you are working. If it appears as if it's only Ineka that's going to do it, then they know that there's no way you'll be able to do it within reasonable time. But if all of you are doing it, you reduce the time very well. And that's been the trend of studies nowadays, that you must be seen to be having a collaborative work. Nobody wants, in science especially, particularly, nobody wants to hear that one person did everything. That's the beginning of dishonesty. But when so many people do, then you will have not only a shortened time, but you'll be able to point out mistakes that one person may not see. And of course, whatever time you set, you will review you will set a time for review, weekly at most, and more frequently if necessary, but weekly at the most, you will sit down and see if you're on course or not.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. And so just to also say that for your career, each step of the way is necessary for you to understand very well. Each step, if you understand, it makes you to be able to repeat, because as those of you who are going to be in research-oriented vocations, it's just a repetition of the processes, akin to the fact that when you start to learn to drive, when you start to learn to cook, there are stages. And when you gain proficiency in one, it helps you to go to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. So, and this is also part of learning things that you learn in life. The same principles apply. So there are various stages that NEC has provided, for example. And at these various stages, there is a lot to learn, which you must pay attention to, and which you are expected to be repeating over and over. Those who have 400 papers, 200 papers, they have done each one individually, but they have followed the steps, laid down steps in each one, right from the first one to their 400th paper. So please learn, look at each stage and learn all that you need, all that will be necessary while going to the next stage. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Jonah.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the for those you suggested you'll be bringing into our study to help make it better. Thank you very much for that and the suggestions so far. So I was just curious because when you talked about the idea of genetics, whether we did a study to check the chromosomal differences on this particular the differences of this particular gene in the chromosomes of both the male and female. So just it actually struck me in the sense that, of course, that is like going to the root to see how this can then affect on the macro level. So I was just curious, and I just want to ask, if you what would you rather aside our own decision on what we want to do on this study, which is looking into the manifestations, what would you actually suggest to us? Would you want us to actually incorporate that genetic aspect of it and then also at the same time look into the manifestation, like couple the two together, or like what would you have done in our shoes to make it the best version of it? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. No matter what you are going to do, whether manifestation will be the main thrust or genetics will be the main thrust, what I've said is that something about the genetics that is going back, like you said, should be there. If you are going to talk about manifestation, especially if your time is limited and you do not really want to delve into the genetics, then what you will do concerning the genetics will be smaller. But with the way you have put it, genetics, you are going to have a substantial part. So that's just what I'm saying. Anyone, you can't talk, is usually, when you start from the basics, you make your reader to understand you better. You understand what you want to do. The question always, when you are doing this sort of work, is how will the person reading your work understand you? Now, if they are doctors like you, it's easy. But when you have people who are interested and who do not have the training that you have had, then you need to consider them. When the publishers publish these things, they want as many people as many people as possible to read. So if you make it too difficult for people to understand, then they will, and they may not understand if you do not introduce them into the into the beginning, into, okay, that when a child is born, the male has the effect of this chromosome weaker than that of the female. When mutation occurs in them, yes, obviously, the one where it is very strong has this problem. For example, if you look at what we're talking about, in the female, the BRCA affects the breast and the ovaries. The breast more than the ovary, but affect the ovaries. And when we talk about the genetical components of ovarian cancer, BRCA is huge. But the equivalent of the ovary, the testis, may not, I'm not sure, the testis may not have such a response to the mutations. So that needs to be brought out. That needs to be brought out, definitely. Because part of what you are going to do is to advise people to do the BRCA mutation assay. So if it's not going to affect the male as much as it affects the female, why will a male want to do it or should do it? That's one of the fallouts from what we have discussed. So it's just take your anatomy book and anatomy and physiology book and just look at the chromosomes 13 and 17 in the two sexes and see whether they differ substantially. That's all.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Have a pleasant evening, everyone.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
So would you like me to send you a reminder concerning the getting more databases and more people involved?
Certainly. You just took that out of my mouth. Certainly, you have to be prodding me.
Okay, sir.
Until I back at you that leave me. You certainly will need to be prompting me because there's so much that is competing for. But I'm not that I plan to forget, but
yes, sir.
I will be, your reminder will.
Thank you very much, sir, again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
sir.
Yes.
Bye, sir.